Hi, welcome to my channel. I've been hearing a lot of questions on some of these Facebook groups that I belong to for my upcoming Europe trip on some questions about planning itineraries, so I thought I'd just give a few quick tips of my own. I've been traveling internationally since I was 15. My first trip was to London, and I'm going to be 53 next month, so I've been doing it for almost 40 years. I've made most of the mistakes a person can make. I've done my best to try to learn from them. But anyway, here are just a few quick guidelines I would get to start. The first thing is to decide who's going on the trip. If you're going by yourself, you can do whatever you want. Your planning is easier. It's what one person wants to do. Every additional person, it gets a little more complicated. If you have a family and you have children, you need to sit there and address all the various interests. If you're traveling with your best friend, you may be very compatible and everything else, but then you need to decide what you're going to do for the travel, what times you're going to get up, etc. Now, a lot of this is going to relate to Europe because I'm going on my big Europe trip in less than a month now. One of the things when you start planning your itinerary is to decide where you want to go. Europe is very compact, so a lot of people don't look at the time, but it's it's still a few hours. Even close places, London to Paris is less than 3 hours. But if you want to go from Paris to Rome, it'd be 16, 18 hours by a train. So you need to just determine all the cities you're going to go to. So the best thing to do is when you make the determination to go, get the map out and try to plot out your trip. Some people just want to go to one place or one country for their entire trip. Some people like to go to multiple places and see as much as possible, because sometimes we don't know. Nothing's guaranteed. This may be the one trip. You don't know that you're going to be able to go back. So a lot of people do try to fit a lot in. A lot of people on social media especially criticize people for trying to fit too much in. But unless someone else is paying for your vacation, this is your trip. You need to do what you need to do. And some people are able to go to Europe once a year, several times a year. There are other of us that this may be once every few years. It may be once in a lifetime. We just don't know we're going to have the opportunity. And then a lot of people deal with illnesses, and this may be the only trip. They don't know that they're going to be around for another trip in a few years. So they want to do, if they want to hit all the landmarks, if they want to hit everything on the bucket list, then I think it's a great idea. Next thing is, this is another thing, a lot to do with Europe, or this is actually any sort of flights. If you live in a city near a hub, you're lucky. If otherwise, my biggest suggestion is see if you can do a direct flight. I live here and I've got direct flights to London and to Hamburg. I'm not interested in going to Hamburg, not on this trip, but I love London. London's an absolutely great city. So being able to do a direct flight, you don't have to worry about your luggage. You don't have to worry about delays and misconnections. We had to do 3 flights to get from here to Nice. And of course, and we had issues with almost each one of the 3 flights, but we almost made it. And the last flight to Nice, we did not make it. And they had to rebook us and at Heathrow, and they had to rebook us and about 200 other people. So that took a few hours just to get to the line. They rebooked us on another flight. They wanted to give us a flight at 8 o'clock at night, and understand we got there at 6 o'clock in the morning. We finally got one about 2 o'clock. So we did make it for our dinner reservation, but that was all we made it for by the time we arrived there. So if you can do direct, it's absolutely so much easier. That's why I think a lot of people are now really pushing the carry-on as well. There's less chance of losing your luggage. There are upsides and downsides to all of it. But if you're doing a lot of travel within Europe, if you're going on a train, you got to lift your luggage up a few steps. It's not bad. If you're flying internationally or flying within Europe, most of the smaller the carriers they have there, they have very strict luggage requirements, and they weigh your luggage. I would say we flew from Nice to Barcelona, and we spent almost as much time on the luggage carousel as we did the flight from Nice to Barcelona. A lot of people don't check their luggage, and so it's just not a real priority getting the luggage moving. But This also depends on who you're going with. I'm going by myself this time, and I have no problems doing carry on. My husband absolutely refuses to do carry on. So if he was on this trip, we would check bags. I would check if he's going to check a bag, I'm going to check a bag. But it just depends. And then some people have a lot of health equipment that they need to take with them that doesn't really allow them to do carry on only. And now the airlines are getting even stricter. They're starting to weigh luggage. It used to be there's something on Instagram telling you to fill the travel pillow with clothes. Well, now they're making you put that in your bag, and if you can't fit in the bag, then they're gonna make you check the bag. So um, it's just easier. I mean, it depends on what you're doing and who you're doing it with, and a lot of times too, you're going through multiple climates. You may be starting in Ireland and then working your way down to the Greek islands. So you're having to adjust for several different climates, also depending on what time of the year you're going. There is shoulder season, which is cheaper, but again, the climate may change. You may need to make sure you're ready for rain, for probably not snow. Depending when you go. If you go in February, there's snow recently in Paris. Anyway, that would be my biggest suggestion for flights. And I don't know I'm assuming most people are like me and just really begrudge spending as much money as we have to just to get on a flight. My cruise on this trip would cost less than the flight did, which I just see is ridiculous. Another thing is, if you can do it, depending on when you're flying over, doing first class or business class, where you can lay down and try to get sleep for a few hours, is ridiculously expensive for what you get. However, if you land and you got some sleep, you may be ready to go that day and start enjoying yourself. If you didn't get any sleep, you may just need to go check into your hotel and catch up. So, depending on it's the time versus money equation. So, if it's more important to you to have the extra day, you might try to do in the business class. And the other alternative now is that you can book two different segments. So, you could do business class on your way over. And usually the flights on the way back start around noon, and you're getting back because of the time change, 5 or 6 or 8 o'clock. So you're not really sleeping on the way back. To do a cheaper seat on the way back, that could be another option. Hotels. I know a lot of people love the Airbnbs. With the past Olympics, and I'm on a Paris page, there were so many horror stories about Airbnbs and people canceling as they were on their flight over, um, women not feeling safe, uh, cleaning fees. I don't like to clean my own house. I definitely don't want to clean someone else's. So, and then the extra cost on top of it. It's kind of nice. I like if I'm paying one price, knowing that's what it is, and not trying to get something, have to worry about extra afterwards. Being solo, it's also nice to be in a hotel in a central area that you feel safe at. A lot of these Airbnbs are very far out. So then if you do that, you also need to consider how much time you're going to spend on your transportation and commuting. Because most people, if going over to Europe, aren't going to get a car. So that automatically puts you at subways or Ubers or taxis, which, especially if you're far out, add up very quickly. Um, Now, I don't know why I've never heard anyone else make this suggestion, but my best advice for hotels has always been, because a lot of people say, well, I'm getting up first thing in the morning to go to the Louvre, so I'm going to stay by the Louvre. To me, what I try to do is I try to stay closer to where I'm planning ending up most nights. So, for instance, in Paris, I'm staying for 4 nights, and 2 of the 4, I'm ending up in Montmartre. So, to me, it made more sense to stay in Montmartre than some other area. So, you don't have to worry about it. You can actually walk to where you need to be, depending on how late your activity is and what you're doing. Um, but I've done that in every city. New York City I agree, is another way. I've stayed in the East Greenwich Village because I was going to hang out in Greenwich Village that night. So therefore, you don't have to worry about trying to get a cab or getting a cab and waiting and getting back home or back to your hotel and just adding another 45 minutes, because usually at the end of the night, if you've been traveling all day, you're done with the commute. You just want to be home. In that vein, I think the other thing is, especially as Americans, especially a lot of us who just drive from we drive from place to place and you only walk from your car to the entrance. It's very different when you have to do public transportation. So you might want to be real about yourself. Everyone may tell you how great the metro is, but if you have bad knees, you're going to be doing several flights of stairs up and down just to get into the metro station, and then take the metro with the other issues, and understand that you're going to be fighting for space with other people. I think the metro is great, and I did public transportation when I lived in Atlanta for 11 years and never had an issue with it. But just, I think this thing is, you got to know your limitations, and you want to do what makes you feel comfortable on vacation. But if you have bad knees walking up a flight of stairs at home, you're going to go on vacation and you have to do 10 flights of stairs to get to one train station and another 10 flights to leave, your knees are going to hurt. It's not going to change just because you're on vacation. And the other thing with that is to remember the distance. We talk about going in the car, getting out, walking to the door. But when you're doing the metro, you're walking down your flight of stairs, walking to your train station, going in there. Some are very long tunnels. Get to your train station, wait for the train to get there, take the train to your exit, get out. You're probably gonna do some more stairs or time to get out of the train station. Then you will have walking to your destination, which might be another couple of minutes. So I think people think, okay, well, I'm going to do this at 10 o'clock and I'll be finished at 11, and 11:15 I'm going to do this. Well, it may be 11:45 before you get there. So when you plan your itinerary, you just want to make sure you're allowing plenty of time. It's And especially if you're not used to having to do that. Another thing I would recommend is, if you're going to be doing a lot in Europe, a lot of walking, if you normally walk 5,000 steps a day, and you're going to be doing 35,000 when you're in Europe, you might want to start doing walks at night just to build up a little bit of stamina. But even if you do 10, 15,000, if you double it in a day for a few weeks, that's a lot. So, and I've heard people who are in very good condition, people who are runners, who still weren't used to all the walking that they had to do. I think for now, I'm going to do a separate video regarding making reservations and city passes and packing and trip planning. But I think this just covers a couple of questions about starting the travel planning phase of this. If you have any questions or any comments, or you have any suggestions of what you do to make it easier for you, please let me know. Please leave a note in the comments, and hopefully we can all learn from each other. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.